Good morning, everyone, and welcome to John's Workshop. And coincidentally, my name is John. Today's video is especially for collectors of antique radios, especially antique shortwave radios. What I have to show you today is what I consider to be the radio find of the century, something I couldn't possibly find in a whole lifetime. It's really amazing. What it is a Signal Corps BC-348 shortwave communication receiver used throughout the Second World War in the big bombers like the famous B-17 Flying Fortress. Even the Enola Gay was equipped with a 348 radio. Now, these radios are not that scarce today. Over 100,000 of them were made by several different companies. In fact, you can go to eBay at any time and find 1, 2, or 3 of these radios for sale, sometimes for as little as $50. The trouble is the radios you buy today are pretty well shot to hell. They are dented, scratched, original knobs missing, holes have been drilled in the cabinet for ventilation, maybe an S-meter has been added in a very sloppy way, and of course sometimes they're completely repainted, spray painted, and the control labeling is replaced with little Dymo tapes. Of course, any radio you can buy today has been modified to operate on 120 volts household current. Originally, these radios operated on 16 volts DC, which was aircraft current. And the high voltage necessary for the plate circuits was accomplished by something called a dynamotor, a little electric motor that operated on 16 volts DC, turning a little generator that produced the 200 plus volts for the plate circuits. Of course, any radio you buy today is going to have the dynamotor missing, and there will be a regular 120 volt AC power supply installed. Now, the very unusual, unique thing about my 348 is that it is truly new old stock. Never issued, never used, never modified, absolutely pristine inside and outside. And I consider it to be the rare radio find of the century. Well, that's enough of a build-up. Let's unveil it, and then we'll go to some close-ups. Here it is, and it really is a beauty. Well, let's begin with the front panel. The first thing you will notice is that the black crinkle finish is absolutely perfect. It is flawless, not a scratch, not a mark. And of course, all the knobs are original. Control labeling is as bright as when it left the factory. This radio was designed for use under difficult battle conditions. It weighs in at 35 pounds and was attached to a special shock mount installed in the plane. The controls are very well labeled and spaced fairly far apart. The knobs do not turn freely as they do in civilian radios. They are equipped with little friction brakes so they won't be moved by vibration or accidental bumping. To make tuning faster and more reliable, a mechanical mask will cover all but the band in use. And of course the band switch knob is really big and easy to get a hold of. No band spread is necessary because there's a terrific reduction gear connected to the tuning knob. Over in the bottom right, you see the antenna and ground terminals. They are labeled by little glass plates that are in absolutely perfect condition. And here is a removable sub-panel on the main panel. It's held on by 6 screws. I took a guess as to what might be inside, but of course I was completely wrong. I'm going to leave it up to you to discover the secret for yourselves when you get your hands on one of these radios. Here is a nice close-up of the metal nameplate attached to the front panel. It reads Signal Corps, U.S. Army, Radio Receiver BC-348-0. The -0 means that it was made by the RCA Manufacturing Company Incorporated, Camden, New Jersey, USA. And because it was made by RCA, makes it especially collectible because most of these radios were made by 2 or 3 other companies. In fact, this is the first BC348 made by RCA that I have ever seen. And right next to the metal nameplate is a red stamp which reads SC3095A. I have no idea what the stamp means, but no doubt it was put on by the Signal Corps, U.S. Army. Here you see a nice shot of the back and the right side of the radio. Again, you will notice that the black crinkle finish is absolutely perfect, not a blemish. Also, you will not see any holes for ventilation. Ventilation was not necessary in a non-pressurized aircraft flying in sub-zero temperatures. And inside this little, what I will call a doorway, you will see 8 prongs that we use to connect the radio to its power supply. Now, when this radio was in service, it was attached to a special shock mount that was fastened inside the airplane. Unfortunately, I do not have the shock mount. I had to improvise a mount made out of particle board, and I put some rubber feet on the bottom. To my assistant, Mr. Dillon, and me, this really appears to be a new old stock radio. But how do I know for sure? I can't prove it. It didn't come with any paperwork. And who in the world is going to believe me when I tell them I found a 70-year-old new old stock BC348 radio at the Pasadena City College swap meet? I wouldn't believe it myself. Well, when I got the radio home, Mr. Dillon and I wanted to open it up immediately and check out the guts. That proved to be very easy. There are 2 thumb screws right here on the front panel. After they are loosened, the chassis slides right out like a dresser drawer. And boy, did I get a surprise on the inside. I'll open it up for you now, and you can see what I found. Okay, here we are on the inside. Did you ever see such a sparkling, clean, shining chassis? No rust, no corrosion, no dirt. And look at this! A piece of original packing material with a warning, caution, remove packing before operating receiver. I can't believe my eyes. Okay, let's remove the packing. And what do we have underneath? Holy cow! The original dynamotor in perfect, shiny, new condition. Well, folks, I guess that pretty well proves it. This is indeed a new old stock radio. Okay, now that we have established that this is really a new old stock radio, I bet some of you are wondering what I paid for it. Well, it was a ridiculous $50, that's all. And someone else may be wondering what I intend to do with it. Do I intend to sell it? Put it up on eBay? Should I donate it to a museum? No, not at all. I'm going to keep it myself. I'm going to modify it to operate on 120 volts AC household current. I've already got my 1948 CQ surplus conversion manual in hand, which will guide me through the process. When this radio is operating, it'll be great fun to compare its performance to commercial radios made during the same time period. Radios made by Helicrafters, Hammarlund, National, etc. Not. Just kidding, folks. Just kidding. No hate mail, please. I'm not going to touch this radio in any way. It's going up to the house in my permanent collection, just as you see it here. It will never be modified. In fact, I intend to will this radio to my favorite aircraft museum in Camarillo, California. Well, that's the story of the radio find of the century. I thank you for watching, and Mr. Dillon thanks you for watching. We'll see you again next time.